Good morning, this is Judy Miller with the Urbana Park District. I'm at Meadowbrook Park at the Windsor Road entrance. And as you can see by this banner, the Park District really encourages people to get out and about, especially during the pandemic. I'm going to take a walk today and see what kinds of signs of fall we can find and any remnants of summer. Let's go see what we can find. To help you get oriented, this is the parking lot off of Windsor Road. Here's the Prairie Play structure and the Prairie Play Pavilion and the field behind it. We're going to walk up here to the bridge over the McCullough Creek. The McCullough Creek is the headwaters one of the headwaters of the Embera River. It starts here at the Windsor Road entrance, moves through the park, and then joins up with Douglas Creek at the Race Street crossover, and then heads south out of town. Here's a view of the creek on top of the bridge. And here's a view facing Windsor Road where the creek starts. We are entering the Wandell Sculpture Garden, which is a half-mile trail around prairie edged with trees. Here's one sculpture that's been here for quite a while. You can download a brochure about the sculptures in Meadowbrook Park on the Park District's website. This is by Celia Allen and Roger Blake. Or Blakely, sorry. The Park District is in the process of restoring this area. A lot of the trees that were planted back in the 90s have turned invasive, such as the alder tree that I have here in front of me. We also have some trees that we'll look at in a little bit that are not conducive to fire. They have to be protected every time we do a burn to manage the site. So look for some changes here over the next few years. There are a few summer remnants. This is snakeroot blooming still. We saw this in Busey Woods if you follow any of my other walks. There's some coreopsis still blooming. Sneezeweed has gone to seed. And the tall yellow flowers are the common or giant goldenrod. The Park District management team for the natural areas will be out collecting seeds over the next couple weeks. And those seeds are then planted back in the Park District's natural areas. We have a little touch of color in the maple in the middle of the prairie here. And it's about 56, 57 degrees this morning, so you can definitely feel fall in the air. We have some New England aster mixed in with the goldenrod. Makes a pretty color of gold and purple in the fall. And some white asters. These are all late summer flowers that are just starting to finish their season. And this is another one of the art pieces out here. This is Here and There by Michelle Lanning. It invites you to walk up to it and interact with it. You can climb on this sculpture. Most of the pieces in the park we ask that you don't climb on, but this is one that's built for that purpose. It's surrounded by prairie, some big blue stem, some asters, the goldenrod that we already looked at. Let's walk up it and peek through the hole. Here you have a view with Clark Lindsay Retirement Village and homes to the west, but it gives a nice view of the Wandell Sculpture Garden. While hiking at Meadowbrook, you'll find some areas like this where it's fenced around a planted area. This is to safeguard plants that we've planted ourselves, or we're just trying to maintain the species that are there. You'll find deer in Meadowbrook Park, some a little bit too many at times, and they have a tendency to do what any animal does, is look for food and eat the trees. We also have had beaver in the park over the years, and the beaver are the largest rodent in North America and very aptly designed to cut down trees. Here's another sculpture. This is by Ron Gard, and it's called Position Number 1. It's made of stainless steel and painted concrete. We have mowed around the sculptures so that you can walk around and look at the piece from many different perspectives. Somebody once asked me, what if I don't like a piece? And art is a very personal matter, and my general thought is if the piece is making you talk about it, then it's doing its job. Example where the fencing is around a tree. This is a maple that was recently planted, and it's fenced off to protect it from deer browsing. This is the Prairie Buoy by Cecilia Aller. It's cast bronze and located just along the creek on the eastern side of Wandell Sculpture Garden. You'll pass a lot of walkers and joggers and people out enjoying the little over 2.5 miles of paved path, and there's an additional mile or two of mowed paths in the park. As I noted before, the Park District is in the process of doing some restoration work here in the Wandell Sculpture Garden. We've been removing some of the more invasive trees and adding more desirable trees and more wildflowers and grasses. There's a path here, or there was a path here, which leads down to the creek that we'll follow. Mostly this is used by the deer now, but when the beaver are here, there's certain spots along the creek where they will build their dams. They are nature's engineers and are able to determine where the best spots are to do this. Generally they're where inlets are. Here we are at the creek's edge. We haven't had a lot of rain in the last couple weeks, so the creek is not very high. And you can see a pipe in there. The pipe is an overflow pipe so that when the beaver return, usually they're here for about 3 or 4 or 5 years, eat themselves out of home and leave, and then come back in about 8 or 9 years and start all over again. When they do this, the Park District, as a watershed management site with Meadowbrook Park, is required to make sure that the water does not back up into the homes on Windsor and north of Windsor Road, and so, or into the park. And so we put this pipe in so that when the dam is too high and the water has come up too high along the banks, it can flow out this pipe. Beaver are have a natural instinct to fill in the dam when they can hear water trickling. They don't want water going through the dam. They want water to be backed up behind it. And so this pipe is underneath the water when the dam is in place and helps keep the level of the water at a more manageable size. So when I walked along that narrow path through the fall plants, I picked up some seed hitchhikers on my pants and on my little vest. This is nature's way, and this is the plant's way of moving the seeds away from the parent plant. I'll have some work later to pull this off of my clothing. Here's another lawn standing sculpture piece here in the Wandell Sculpture Garden. The sculptures that are here, most of them are on loan and have a contract to be here for a period of time that can be renewed. This is called Fluke. It's by Carl Billingsley. Sorry for messing up the name. So sometimes artists choose to keep the pieces here for long periods of time, or in some instances we've had donors who have purchased the piece and donated it to the Park District. So most of the pieces that we've seen so far here on the Wandell Sculpture Garden have been here since the early 2000s. This piece by Mickey Lemieux is called Idea of an Apple and was done in 2016. It's steel, foam, and epoxy. You are welcome to walk your dogs at Meadowbrook Park. They have to be leashed, and we ask that you stay on the paved surfaces as the natural or mowed paths go through the prairie and are for the wildlife. Here we have a grove of birch trees planted when the Wandell Sculpture Garden was first created in the 1996, 7, 8, somewhere in there. These trees will eventually be removed and replaced with more resilient trees like oaks and hickories that can withstand a little bit of fire. These birches cannot stand the fire and have to be mowed around to when the Park District manages with fire. We're coming up to the intersection of the Wandell Sculpture Garden and the Hickman Wildflower Trail. There are several art pieces that can be found right here at this intersection. The interpretive plan for the park includes a sign here at this intersection that the Park District will plan to do sometime in the future. This is Bipolar by Charles Yost. It's a relatively new piece as well. The date on it is 2016. Across from it is Molecular Reflections that has been here for quite a while. It has purposely had plants been allowed to go up and around it because we continually have problems with people trying to climb on it. And then there's another piece over here, pretty well situated with these trees all around it. This one is from 2007, is called It Is Too Late by Terence Kapowski, or sorry, Kapowicz. Sorry about messing up the names there. And then there are two pieces up ahead as well. So right here at this intersection you can find 5 separate pieces of art and can sit and enjoy them. This is one of my favorites, especially when the sun is out, because it has glass pieces in it that reflect the sun. This is by J.C. Willis and it's called Surge, and the date on it is 2013. And this 5th piece here, which is owned by the Park District now, is called Tango. We're heading north on the Wandell Sculpture Trail, just past the Hickman Wildflower Trail. There's another intersection But this intersection is a path that goes to Clark Lindsay, and it's for its residents. Please respect their boundaries and stay on the path here. We've walked up a short hill, one of the higher parts of the park, to this sculpture called Valencia by William Carlson. It was done in 1998 or 9, so it's one of the oldest pieces in the park. There's a bench nearby. This is a lovely place to sit and relax and enjoy the views that surround you along the Wandell Sculpture Garden. The area to the west along the edge of Clark Lindsay and these houses has been managed over the last couple years with the help of Clark Lindsay and volunteers to remove gray dogwood and allow more prairie. We're coming up on yet another sculpture. You can see how lovely the prairie can look at different times of the season. Right now it's a sea of goldenrod that's still blooming. In another couple weeks, this will all turn to brown and go into its dormant season. A reminder about prairie plants: as tall as the plant is how deep the roots go. This is by Pat McDonald. It's Diamonds Are Forever, and the year on it is 2011. The sun is just coming out. I'm almost to the northern edge of the Wandell Sculpture Garden. You can start to hear the traffic. Here's a view of the hill we just walked down. And you can see the sculptures in the distance. So this section is thick with the gray dogwood, which is a native plant, but in the areas that we passed where it was removed, it was to provide more view of the prairie. But here, where we're right up against the houses, the Park District and Clark Lindsay have agreed to leave them to provide some privacy. Here's another piece of art. This one has some electricity, some lights that shine. It's fun to kind of drive by in the evening and see it. This is by Nicole Beck, and it's called King of Prairie Town, and the year on it is 2012. I'm on Windsor Road, it's walkway, so excuse the traffic noise. It's a little noisy when you walk along here. Here's some indigo, which was blooming back in June and July. I don't see any seed cases on it right now. Here's another type of goldenrod. Most of what we've seen is giant or common goldenrod. This goldenrod is showy goldenrod. Notice that the flowers are all at the top of the plant, not just bushed along the sides. We're coming to yet another piece here at Meadowbrook Park in the Wandell Sculpture Garden. A couple birds flying around. This is by John Aducci. It's called Yikes, and the date on it is 2000. We have a goldfinch feeding, just flew away, on top of the plant here, eating the seeds. Goldfinches the males are a bright yellow color in the summer. The females are more of a drab color because they sit on the nest. They've already started to turn to their winter colors, which are that kind of gray and brown color with a little bit of yellow showing through. They also will feed on this thistle here, and in fact, goldfinches do not nest and lay their eggs until the thistle has gone to flower, because they use the seeds and the fluff to make their nests and to feed their young. And this is our final piece in the Wandell Sculpture Garden that we're looking at today. It's a lovely bright piece on the corner of the walkway. It's by Peter Mitchell. It's called Father and Sons. And the year on it is 1999. This piece is owned by the Park District. It was purchased by a donor for the Park District. So we're on the south or the northeast corner of the park for the Wandell Sculpture Garden. Please observe our trail etiquettes, and thanks for joining me today. Come out and visit the park soon.